Hey everybody, welcome back to Mac Kiteboarding Foil Fridays. I am Tucker, and today I'm going to talk to you about two new exciting stabilizers for the Slingshot Phantasm carbon foil system. What we have here are two smaller stabilizers for their lineup. If you're familiar with the Phantasm lineup, you know they've had the 400 stabilizer for quite a long time. That's the standard stabilizer you're going to get with most kits. It's a bit larger, a bit more stable, going to provide you with more stability and just ease of use and riding. And then on the other end of the spectrum, they've had the 325, which is very small and has winglets just to give you a bit more tracking ability at high speeds and for their smaller foils, kite foils and stuff. So there's been a big gap in their lineup between those two, and definitely room to grow their stabilizer stable. Slingshot geniusly has come up with a bit of a stepped system through their lineup that's going to allow you to choose a stabilizer based on your ability, your point of progression, where you're at, and what you want to ride, how you want to ride, and really it just takes the guesswork out of picking your stabilizer. For some brands, there's just so many options in, you might have 3 or 4 stabilizers that work really well, for a single wing and your ability. But then how do you choose? Or if you're, just a progressing rider, and you're just looking for the next step up to really level up your experience and your performance, but you're not really sure what kind of stabilizer that might be, it can leave you kind of guessing. So what they've got here are 2 stabilizers to add to their lineup when you're ready to progress beyond that 400 stab into something with a bit more speed, a bit more agility. Just something a bit more exciting to ride, to add some new flavors to your experience out there on the water. So first what we have is the V-Stab. It's a PS 360. So in terms of total surface area, this isn't a lot smaller than the 400. And you'll notice it does have a very distinct V shape. That is part of what makes it special, and it's part of what makes it an easy step up from the 400. With this foil, you're keeping a lot of that total surface area, which gives you, your stability, your pumping ability, your low end ability. It is a bit thinner in the foil section here, so that's more speed range, less drag, so you get better glide. And if you know what you're doing, you can actually get on foil easier because there's less drag holding the foil back. But then this V shape, what that gives you is a narrower wingspan. So your rolling maneuverability is a bit more fluid. It is very flat so that your yaw is a little bit more loose, but then it also, the way it rakes back like this, just makes your pumping really easy. It's got the same mounting position that you would ride the mast on your board as the 400. So without even having to adjust your mast, you just pull the 400 off, put the V-Stab on, and you're ready to fly. It should have the same foot position for the most part. And because it rakes back, it just gives you a lot of stability for a semi-high aspect kind of a foil shape here in terms of the way the cord is and how it tapers off. It just bends back. Anyway, so that's a lot of tech talk. Only to say this is very easy to ride. It's a very easy step up from the 400. Even if you're not, at an intermediate level, even if you're at kind of a beginner level, if you're up and riding on the 400 and you just want to inject a little bit more performance into the ride, a little bit more speed to expand the range of your foil, make it a little bit slippier and more efficient, the V-Stab is going to do that for you. Outside of that, I would say, some other people that are really going to like the V-Stab are surfers, wake riders, wake foilers. Anybody looking for a real agile, efficient performance, but also excellent pumping ability and an easy stall ability. You're lowering your stall speed so that you don't stall out as easily. Because this foil still has a good amount of support for the front wing. It's really driving it up. It's not a little tiny stab that's going to stall out or kind of squeal out any chance it gets. So very easy to ride, but still leveling up that performance to make it more accessible. So this is going to be a very, very hot stabilizer for a lot of riders out there. And I could say you can ride this with almost any of their wing sets, from their biggest down to their smallest. this is going to inject some performance. You really don't need to have a very specific front wing. It doesn't need to just be the PTM series or anything like that. Although it does work very well in the PTM series. You can also put this on the largest foils and have a lot of fun and still level up your performance. So that's a really cool, versatile stabilizer to have in your stabilizer stable or quiver. Next, we have the jet stab. So this one is a bit more traditional, I guess I would say. I'll give you guys a better look at it here. In its shape, in its dimension, it is 340 centimeters squared. So still not a super, micro stabilizer. This is a good do-it-all stabilizer size still works throughout the range for the most part. I'm not sure I would necessarily throw this on, a 2400 or even a 2000 necessarily, just because it's not really going to match that ride speed. You certainly could, especially if you're a smaller rider and you just want to loosen up, the way they maneuver a little bit. But in any of their, faster foil series, any of the G series, any of the PTMs, any of the kite foils, this is really going to level up the experience to a much more aggressive and speedy foil. It's smaller, both in terms of total surface area, span, chord, thickness, in every way. It's got a very fast foil section on this, so you have amazing glide. Your top end speed is going to be leveled up quite a bit. It feels a lot more slippery and wanting to accelerate out there on the water. Looks dead flat, at first look, but it does have a little bit of anhedral with a little bit of wing up here. So it does just have a pinch of some drive and traction, but still extremely loose, very surfy feeling stabilizer. It's one that, I wouldn't necessarily put a brand new rider on, but it's still very accessible, I would say, from an intermediate standpoint. If you're up and riding confidently, if you're making jibes and you're in decent enough wind where you can ride a smaller foil, this is the kind of stab you're going to want on that foil. Adding this is just going to level up that performance on any foil you're going to put it on, both by the reduction of the drag, extra maneuverability in the roll, in the yaw, and the top speed and glide. So this one's pretty special for anyone in the Slingshot ecosystem looking for that really high performance, no compromises kind of a stabilizer for their kit. I've been riding on the 710 fuse, and for wing foiling, that's really phenomenal. For surf foiling in a lot of conditions where you want a little longer fuse to get better pumping ability, it's a really nice special setup. It's not twitchy. On their shorter fuse, it's going to get a little bit looser, a little bit more squirrely, more twitchy. So if you're not ready for that yet, leave it on the long fuse. If you're at that level where you're doing that kind of riding, then you're really going to like it and adapt to this quickly. With this one, it does require a little bit of a mass change, just depending on the wings you're using it with. On a few, you're going to slide it forward just slightly, just to account for the different driving force on the stabilizer, pushing that front wing up, but also just because you're going to ride it a little bit more loosely and more surfy, so you want to move that mass a little bit more up onto your stance, and a lot of the times that's just kind of the case when you're riding a smaller, faster foil as well. So this is the jet stab, V stab. Which one do you choose? I would say, Slingshot's made that pretty easy. If you're progressing out of a beginner stage into an intermediate and looking for that kind of next level of performance, I would say go with the V stab. I would also say, any foil that you're not riding at a high speed, the V stab is a really good choice for that. It's going to give you a lot of efficiency and performance, but maintain that stalling ability and just that easy slow speed glide and pumping ability. That's so nice, when you need to pump yourself out of a hole or connect a wave or just glide through a jibe or attack. Then level up to the jet stab here. When you're at least kind of in that intermediate level, ideally, you're starting to look at faster foils, ride those. You're wanting a little bit more performance out of those. You're looking for more maneuverability and glide, so maybe get a little more performance on the wave face, or you know, just when you're carving around and making those higher speed turns, want to unlock a little bit more performance out of that, then, you know, the jet stab is definitely one to look at. But I think a lot of Slingshot marketing on this is really dead on, but they might be marketing it a little higher than it needs to be. You know, they're looking at the jet as an advanced level, you know, stabilizer, and it does offer that kind of performance, but it's certainly more accessible than advanced riders only, you know. So if you're out there riding confidently, you know, on, you know, reasonably small foils, 1,500 centimeters and smaller, you know, as a larger rider like myself, then this is definitely one to take a really good look at and have in the quiver, because you're progressing out of that. You know, you're not staying there. You're looking to progress out of that, and this is, you know, a stabilizer that'll help you do that and provide that kind of performance. So, yeah, if anything, I would say, you know, if you're on the fence, level up. It's going to take you a minute to get used to it, but then as you progress into it, you're going to be really happy rather than progressing out of something that you just bought. So, still very accessible. You know, I could even put a brand new rider with this stabilizer in a larger G series or something like that, especially if they have any kind of prerequisite wind sport or foiling skills, and they could get through it. You know, it might not be ideal. You know, the 400 is definitely going to be easier, and in the V series would definitely be, you know, a little easier than that, but it's attainable. So don't be too scared of it. It's not one of these super micro tiny race only, you know, 120-pound rider kind of a stabilizers. It's still, I mean, if you look at my hand here, it's still fairly sizable. It's just a lot more speedy because of the foil profile that they put on that. So pretty special stuff and exciting stuff from Slingshot. Definitely, you know, stoked that they were able to build more stabilizers into their lineup, but not confuse the point to where, you know, you really don't have a clear option for your ability level and whatever foil you're riding. I think it is very clear, and Slingshot's helped us in creating those tables and make it very easy to decide which one is right for you and where you're at. So good on Slingshot for making it simple for all of us and leveling up the performance in their stabilizers so that no matter where you're progressing from, you have a great option for you. Personally, riding these, I'm big team on jet sab here. I've been riding it with some of their new PTM wings, winging and surfing, riding at higher speeds, gliding, a little bit of downwinding. Very impressed with it. You know, it's very efficient and fast for a stabilizer of its size. So it's easy to ride, has great speed. The PS360 here, V-Stab. This one for me was like a better 400, just faster, similar pumping, similar stability when you're riding, but when you want it to be a bit more agile and especially looser in the yaw, because there's no winglets and it's pretty much dead flat, it's pretty loose. So this one's really fun surf foiling, wake foiling, anytime you want performance, but also, you know, that accessibility and ease of use on the low end of its wind range. And this is a really fun one to grab. Also very fun on their Kite series foils with a shorter fuselage, where you get just kind of that loose, free ridey feel, easy to have something to push off of. It's not going to stall out easily on you, but also, you know, very skatey and fun on any of those kind of foils. So yeah, if you have any questions at all, you can put those in the comments section below. You can always pick up the phone, call us, send us an email, jump on our live chat on our website, and we'll get you hooked up. We'll have some assets on the site on the stabilizers here when we release, and that'll help you pick the right one as well. But again, it's pretty straightforward with that, and you can always rely on us if you'd like to confirm or just have any additional questions. This has been Tucker with MACkite Kiteboarding, and we'll see you next time.